to your mats, to your practice, and to your breath. I hope everybody's doing okay and taking good care of themselves and giving some space to just be and to enjoy not having to do anything, right? Just being here and breathing and settling into a new rhythm that's really different than our previous rhythms have been. So I wanted to read you a quote today. We cannot choose the things that will happen to us, but we can choose the attitude we will take towards anything that happens. Success or failure depends solely on your attitude. Seek out that particular mental attribute that makes you feel most deeply and vitally alive, along with which comes the inner voice which says, "This is the real me." And when you have found that, follow it. So this time of stillness, this time of slowing down allows us a little more time to be introspective and to choose how we want to see the world and how we want to be in the world. So we'll come to our practice with that in mind, taking a seat, maybe crossing the legs. If that doesn't feel comfortable to you and you can't support, lengthen the spine, take a child's pose instead. Take something where your spine can be long, where we can begin to tap into the energy centers of the body. We let the eyes gently close. Maybe we open the mouth, separate the teeth, and just bring the lips back together so the jaw is restful. We begin that deep connection to breath. Noticing and feeling the inhale, and doing the same on the exhale. Just honoring that rhythm that's already in us, that rhythm of breath. You may also notice a rhythm of the mind, the pace and frequency of thoughts. Just noticing that as well. Noticing as the thought comes in and noticing as it goes out. Allow that breath to flow in and out through the nose to begin to trigger the calming effects of the mind on the body. And the calming effects of the body on the mind. And begin to tap into your inner knowing, that knowingness that tells you everything will be okay, because everything is okay in this moment and in this breath. Even though circumstances around you may seem like they're not okay, in this breath and in this moment, you are okay. The more we tap into that feeling of well-being, we draw more of that towards us. We experience more of that in our outer lives. Thoughts become form. Let's take one more long, slow breath in through the nose. Letting it go. We'll take the hands in front of us and just begin to walk them forward. You might not need to go far. Just feel what's going on in the hips. Maybe rock a little bit side to side. Feel the low back and the hips. Feel what you can empty out, where you can let go of tension that you're storing. And how you can settle in a little more deeply to your breath. Slowly walk those hands back in. We'll switch the cross of the legs. So take the leg that was on top or in front and just switch it with the other. Sitting up again, hands in front of you, walking them out. You may go further or not as far, depending on what's going on with the hips. So just give yourself time to notice. Give yourself time to breathe and get feedback from the body. Again, maybe rocking a little left and right. You'll hear perhaps the creaking and groaning in the background of my house as the radiators click on and off. Like our bodies cracking and crunching sometimes. The house does the same thing. And then we'll walk those hands slowly back in. Take the left hand onto the right knee and give yourself a gentle twist, rotating around the axis of that spinal column. And slowly releasing yourself back. Take the right hand to the left knee, left hand behind you, twisting around. Filling up and emptying with breath. And come back through center. Let's reach the arms up overhead and then just reach a little more through the right and then the left, and just alternating, stretching the sides of the body, stretching up from the ribs through the hips, reaching and lifting out of that space of where we're sitting and into the heavens. And then let's let the right arm float down by our side. Take that left arm and really reach up. Get long through the left side body. And then maybe bend that right elbow as you take that left arm overhead and reach it towards the right side. As you reach up through the left rib cage and breathe space. Inhale, lift back up. Stretch the arms up towards the sky. Float the left hand down, reach the right arm overhead. Press down through the right hip to give you an anchor and then lift up out of that place. Breathe into the right side body and notice the rib cage. Notice it receiving the breath. Inhale, come back up. Let's take our hands and interlace them in front of us and then inside out the hands. So pressing the palms away from you as the elbows squeeze towards one another. Sit up nice and tall. And maybe you can begin to lift the arms up. Maybe the hands can come parallel with the ceiling as you pull down through the pinky fingers and reach up through the index fingers. Pressing down through the tailbone and lifting up. And then lower those hands down. And we'll just take some shrugs of the shoulders, just rolling in circles, the shoulders, squeezing them up and down the back, rolling them forward. And then make those circles the opposite way. Just noticing what you feel, noticing where the sensations are showing up for you in your body today. And then we'll bring the arms in front of us, pressing the forearms together, and we're going to round our forehead in towards the elbows, stretching through the back of the neck. And then inhale, open up, squeeze the elbows towards one another, gaze towards the sky, opening through the front of the throat, through the front of the neck. Exhale, curl, tuck that forehead in towards the elbows, squeeze the forearms together. Inhale, lift, squeeze the elbows behind you. Exhale, curl. Inhale, lift. Just working through the upper shoulders, through the neck. Inhale, lift. Exhale, squeeze. One more time. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, squeeze. Good. And then let's come onto our hands and knees. So we're going to let the hands come underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips to support us skeletally and structurally. Spreading the fingers nice and wide. We'll move through cat-cow, allowing the ribs to float down, allowing a little sag to come in that the upper side of the spine, and a stretch to come on the underside of the spine. And then we'll flip it out. Lift up through the ribs, getting a stretch on that outer side of the spine as the inner part of the spine begins to compress, and then move through with your breath. Allowing yourself to get to the full range of your motion. And taking advantage of the length of the breath. to move you and flow through the pose. Let's take a few more. Come to a neutral spine. Let's go ahead and take that right leg, extend back, pressing through the heel, curling the right toes under, and pressing out to stretch your Achilles and your calf. And then lift up through the belly and extend out through the top of the head. Feeling long and strong, the right leg is fully engaged. And then we'll lift those right toes up and just take them to the left side of your mat. Look over your left shoulder, letting the right rib cage press out, and see the toes behind you as the heel presses out and the inner thighs squeeze towards one another. Come back, lift that foot up, bring the knee underneath you. And then curl those left toes out, press through the heels, stretch through the Achilles, stretch through the calf. Wrap the muscles of the thigh up around the bone so that left leg is really active. And we're pressing down through the hands and reaching the top of the head towards the front of the room. And then we'll take that left foot out to the right side of the mat and take a peek over your right shoulder. Pressing out through the heels, squeezing the inner thighs towards one another, finding breath. Let's come back. We're going to sit on our heels, or if you want to curl the toes under, you can curl the toes under for a stretch of the feet, stretching that fascia that connects us to the ground, and we'll make fists and just roll the wrists. Rolling in one direction and then the other. Then extend that right hand out straight. And we're going to take our other hand and just draw back each finger one at a time, slowly. Just feeling that range of motion, stretching the underside of the hand and the forearm. So it's important to leave that right arm straight to allow that stretch to come into the forearm. And even stretch your thumb here. Pull that thumb back. And then take the opposite hand, reach it out, pressing the palm forward like you're doing a stop signal. And then take each finger and draw it back, one at a time. And then take the thumb under your wrist, fingers on the top of the hand, and just pull the wrist down. Fingertips reaching towards the floor, stretching that top side of the forearm. And then we'll do that another hand. Thumb under the wrist, fingers over the back of the hand, and just gently pressing the hand down. Your feet may be screaming, so we'll come back up. You can paddle out the feet if that feels good to you. And then we'll walk the hands forward and take a puppy dog pose. So maybe you need to walk the knees back a little bit. We're going to keep the knees just over the hips. We're going to reach the arms out far enough that we can begin to drop the chest towards the ground. Leave the forearms off the ground. So the hands are pressing into the ground. We're tractioning the hands back, pulling back through the hips. And we're feeling the shoulders, the armpits, the arms. Just wake up here. Feeling a nice big stretch. Encouraging our lymphatic system, which is dependent on circulation, to flow freely. And we'll walk those hands back in. Just a little bit. Curl the toes under and take a down dog, letting your hips come up. And maybe the heels drift towards the ground. You can pedal out your feet, bending one knee deeply, letting the heel come off the ground. And then doing that with the opposite foot, just alternating left and right. Maybe you take a peek over under the right shoulder and the left, stretching the neck a little bit, just finding a little rhythm that feels good to you. And then we'll find stillness for just a couple breaths here as we lift up through the tailbone, as we sink down through the heels, pressing the earth away with our hands. And feeling that breath fill you up, even in the back of the rib cage, feeling your ribs lifting and separating with each inhale, knitting back together with each exhale. And then we'll look between the hands, take that right foot and step it forward. We'll let the back knee come down. We'll interlace our fingers around that front knee and just begin to press it forward. As we hinge forward a bit, we get a nice big stretch through the front of that left hip. And keep pressing into both feet so you stay stable, you feel strong, you feel sturdy here by pressing into the feet, by engaging the inner thighs. And then we'll take those arms up and overhead. Maybe take a little back bend, lift up through your heart. And then hands to the floor, we'll take a runner stretch, walking the hands back on either side of that front knee, and just pulling the toes back. Pressing through the heel, lifting the toes up, so again we stretch the back of the leg, the hamstring, the calf, the Achilles. We try to fold out over the front leg. And then walk those hands back. Sweep that right leg back. Curl the toes under, take a down dog, lift up. Look between your hands, step that left foot forward. Let your right knee come down. And then we'll settle in, interlacing the hands around that left knee, pressing in with the hands. So we're pushing the body away from that front leg. And then press into the top of that left foot and the top of the right foot both. So you feel steady, you feel stable, you feel grounded. And then let's take those arms up and overhead. Reaching up out of the waist. Maybe take that back bend, lifting the heart up towards the sky, draping back a little bit. And then we'll let those hands come down to the ground, taking your runner's stretch, walking the hands back to either side of the calf, and then pulling the toes up as you press the heel down. Inhaling and lengthening, exhaling and folding. Breathing in and sending breath to the places where you feel the pose. Walk those hands back in. Take that leg back and we'll come to a down dog, lifting the hips up. The head is just resting between the arms, the head is long, the chin is not tucked or untucked, it's just neutral, the neck's in line with the rest of the spine. And then we'll walk those feet up towards the hands. Inhale and halfway lift, exhale and fold. Root through the feet, inhale, reach out and up. And exhale, pull your hands down through your heart center and just pause here. Close your eyes, root through the feet. Lengthen, press down through the feet so you can reach up through the top of the head. Draw the front of the rib cage towards the back of the room to lengthen through the spine. Inhale, take your arms up and overhead. Exhale and fold. Letting the breath out on that exhale, inhale and lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, hands pull through heart center. Feed yourself with that attitude that you want to have, that attitude that reflects your heart's desire. Inhale, sweep those arms up. Exhale and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, pull the hands through heart center. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale and fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale and fold. This time we're going to bend the knees, sitting into a chair pose. Fingertips on the ground. Bend your knees enough that you can get the hands to the ground. And then we're just going to begin to reach the arms up as we peel the chest off the thighs. But we keep that deep bend in the knees, that bend in the ankles. You can open the arms to cactus if that feels better to you. We'll begin to just feel that strength coming into the legs. Right, our foundation. Tuck that tailbone down a little bit, getting a little longer spine. Sit down nice and deep. And then we'll exhale, fold forward. Step your feet hip distance apart. Leave a little bend in the knees, interlace the forearms, and just begin to rock a little left and right. Allowing the breath to let the spine lengthen. Allowing on the exhale a little bit of surrender. And then plant your hands on the ground. Step yourself back to a plank pose. We're going to curl the toes under, lifting up through the hips, pressing through the top of the head. Legs are strong, hands pressing into the ground. If this is too much on the wrists, you can always take a forearm plank, coming down onto the forearms. But keep the belly engaged here. We're not going to stay much longer. Just keep that breath flowing, allowing your breath to not really reflect any specific effort in the pose. The breath stays easy and full. And then we'll lower all the way down to the ground. Make a pillow with your hands. Lay your forehead down on your hands. We'll just take a rest. We're going to lift the right leg up. Stretch it towards the back of the room. Lay it back down. Left leg lift it up. Pull the toes back towards the back of the room. Lay it back down. So the spine feels really long. Press your hips into the ground. Bring the hands by the sides of the body. Squeeze your elbows in and down. And then inhale, using the strength of your back, peel your chest up. No weight in the hands. We're just using the strength, pressing the tops of the feet into the ground and lifting up. Lower yourself back down. Make a pillow with your hands. Take a rest. Bring that right hand by the side of the body. We're going to extend the left arm straight out. We're going to lift the left arm and the right leg up. Just feeling that extension from the left fingertips through the right toes. And then lower back down. Make that pillow with the hands. Extend the right arm straight out. Left leg, point the toe, lift up. Just lifting the right arm and the left leg. Extending through from fingertips to toes. Feeling that spine long. Come back down. Flex your feet. Bend your knees. So the feet are as if the ceilings come down and you're supporting the ceiling on those feet. We'll reach the arms back like airplane wings and then lift everything you can off the ground. The thighs, the chest, the arms, lifting up. Compressing that back side of the spine, strengthening the muscles that support the spine, that keep us strong, that keep us upright, and allow those nerves to flow freely in and out of that spinal column. Kick up a little more, lift up, and then lower down. We'll take a child's pose, coming back onto our knees, onto our shins, laying down. We're going to take a frog pose. So figure out how you want to be oriented on your mat. If you're on a rug, it'll be much nicer. If you're on a hardwood floor, you might want to roll your mat over on the edges to give your knees a little more support. So this one may feel like torture, sort of is. So we're going to make the shape of a frog with our legs. So our knees and our ankles are going to line up. So we're almost like we're in a little bit of a straddle split. And then we're going to lower the forearms down to the ground and draw the hips back. And once you start to draw the hips back, you really feel the inner thighs, the groin muscles engage. And then if you can slide the knees out a little bit further, coming with the torso a little closer to the ground. But keep those feet flexed. Keep the knees in line with the hips, and then the ankles in line with the knees. So we're making a little L shape with each leg. And this one takes a little while to just allow the body to open up. So we'll stay here for a few breaths. It takes sometimes time just to release. So find your breath. Decide if it's too much, just rocking the weight forward a little bit. If it's not enough sensation in the pose, draw the hips back a little more, or let the knees open out a little wider. Just take a couple more breaths. Just seeing where you can let go, where you can soften the body and accept the pose. Create some openness. The goal is to create space, to create an expansion. One more breath. Now the best way I enjoy getting out of this is just to begin to slide yourself forward. Leaning a little more on one side than the other, and then extend those legs out and just rock the feet to the left and to the right. Just massaging through those hips. And then we'll press ourselves up. Coming back onto our mats, we're going to set up for a boat pose. So we're going to sit on the sitting bones and bring the knees in towards your chest. And then let your feet float up off the ground. Maybe they're a little bit off the ground, or maybe the shins are parallel to the ground. So whichever feels better to you, sitting up nice and tall. Drawing the chest towards the knees. So we want a long spine. We want an extension from tailbone to top of head. So we feel the core connecting. Let's sweep those arms over to the right, twisting yourself. Take a few breaths here, twisted. Keeping the gaze soft. Come back to center. Take a twist over to the other side and just keep your gaze soft. Just not connecting to any objects around you, but just staying connected to breath. Staying connected to the sensations in the body. One more breath here. Going back through the center, sit up nice and tall. Inhale. Exhale, let those feet come down. We're going to take a butterfly pose. So we're going to bring the soles of the feet together and let the knees drape open. Sit up nice and tall. Extending through the spine. If you have kids at home and they do this with you, their knees are probably on the ground. They are a lot more rubbery joints than we do. We'll notice just one knee is going to be a little higher than the other naturally. We're not put together completely symmetrically, and that's okay. We're just trying to come closer to balance. And really, it's about finding that comfort in the body, being comfortable in your own skin, and allowing the body to just be calm, so the mind isn't distracted with messages of distress from the body. Let's let those feet come out. We're going to take a tabletop pose, reverse table. So we're going to separate the feet hip distance apart, bring the hands behind us, and then let the hips float up. Draw the knees in one direction, the shoulders in the other. Maybe you drop your head back. If the shoulders are tighter, maybe the hips aren't in line with the shoulders and the knees. That's okay. Let's let those hips float back down. Good. Let's take the right leg and cross it over the left. Take your left arm, reach it out, wrap it around the knee, hug the knee into the chest, right hand comes behind you like a kickstand, and we just twist ourselves around. Lifting through the spine as we inhale, and exhaling, just taking the twist a little bit deeper. Using your breath to get into the pose, to find movement and freedom. And then we'll rotate back. Let that right leg come out. Left leg comes in. Take the right arm out to the side, wrap it around the knee, sit up nice and tall. Left hand comes behind us to support us, and we twist. Inhaling, lengthening the spine. Exhaling, twisting around. So this is a really good pose for our internal organs. We wring out the internal organs. And then we'll release that pose, unwinding. We'll lay all the way down onto our backs. Just rolling down. We'll leave both knees bent to start. You can just windshield wiper the knees to the left and the right if that feels good to you. And then find stillness. Take the right leg and reach it up towards the sky, pressing through the heel, and then draw that leg towards the body. Maybe you interlace your hands around the thigh and use the strength of the hands to draw the leg a little closer. You can slide the hand up the shin, up the calf if that feels better to you. And get pressing out through your heel, pulling down through your hip, and maybe the knees bent to give a little relief to the hamstring. Connecting to breath, leaving the head and shoulders just resting on the ground. So bend that right knee and take the right foot, the big toe, wrap the first and second finger around the big toe, or hold your knee and drape the knee out to the right, or, as I said, grab the toe and extend the heel out towards the right. So you'll feel a little more intensity if you're grabbing the toe. If that's too much for you, then grab the knee. We're going to feel a little stretch through the back of the right leg. All those muscles that are connecting into the back of the hip. Just let those release and open up. One more breath here. Bend the knee. We'll take that leg back over the top. We're going to scoot the hips a little bit over to the right. And then we're going to let that right leg lay down on the ground. If it can be at 90 degrees to the body, we'll allow that. If not, you can bend the knee and take your twist this way. So if you're extending out and the right leg is straight, keep that foot flexed, pressing out so you'll get a stretch in your IT band, and then keep drawing the right hip, like rolling it down away from the body, away from the shoulder, so you can lengthen through the spine. And just feel what is happening in your body. And invite in breath. And then we'll bend the right knee, roll back onto our backs. Take a half happy baby, grabbing the outer edge of the right foot or grabbing behind the right thigh and just drawing the right knee towards the ground. Long, slow breaths. Release the right leg. Bend that left knee and we'll rock both knees to the left and to the right. And just notice the sensations in the body. The right side, the right hip versus the left. Now we'll extend that left leg up towards the sky. Draw the leg towards the body. Maybe the knee stays bent if the hamstring is really in need of that. And then you can take the arms, hands around the thigh or around the calf. And again, we stay engaged. We press down through the hip and reach out through the heel. We relax the shoulders and the head on the ground. So maybe that means bending your knee to do that. And we just breathe. Just breathing our breath through the body. One more breath, just seeing what you can discover here. Then we'll bend the knee, either taking that knee in the hand and taking it out to the left, or grabbing your big toe with that first and second finger, and then opening that leg out to the left, pressing out through the heel. Just make sure you keep your right hip anchored on the ground. It's very easy to just roll everything over to the left, but we want to create the dynamic energy in this pose of pressing out through the heel. Inner groin muscle you may feel, back of that left leg. Just feel wherever it is that you're feeling the pose. And then bend the knee, bring that leg back in. Let's scoot the hips over to the left. Take that left leg and see if you can rotate around, taking your twist, pressing that out through the left heel, maybe keeping that left leg at 90 degrees to the right leg, and twisting yourself open. If you need to bend the knee, bend the knee. Do what makes sense, right? We want to heal and energize the body. We want to create vibrancy. When we meet resistance in the body, then the breath becomes constricted, and we create a block of energy. So we want to be very mindful of what we're creating in this practice. And then bend that knee, bring it back in. Take your half happy baby, grabbing behind the thigh or the outer edge of the foot and drawing it down towards the left armpit. We'll release that foot. bent knees. Rock the knees to the left and the right. And just notice the more balanced sensation between the two hips now. Let's inhale. Stretch the body long, reaching out through the toes, reaching through the fingertips. Exhale, curl your knees into your chest, draw your forehead up towards the knees. And then release the shoulders and the head back down. Extend the legs up towards the sky, feet towards the sky. Knees can be bent or straight, whatever feels better in your body. Anchoring down through the tailbone. And just allowing gravity to take a little pressure off the legs and the circulation. If you're craving more core work, you can interlace the hands behind the head and just begin to curl the chest off the ground and then lay it back down, just doing that a few times. If there's any other pose that your body is requesting, go ahead and honor that request. Take whatever pose left for you in your practice that would make you feel good. And then just let those feet come to the ground. You can leave the knees bent or straighten the legs out. Arms, just lay them by the sides of the body with the palms facing up. A gesture of receiving whatever you needed from this practice. The eyes gently close. The focus on the breath just drops away and we just turn to complete rest. Take this opportunity to absorb all the healing energy that was created and allowing that into every cell. A long, slow breath in. Filling up with breath, open the mouth, sigh it out. Take another long, slow breath in. Sigh it out. And then let your head begin moving, rocking side to side, fingers joining in the movement, and toes as well. And then we roll over to one side and just pause. Press the hands into the floor, coming to your seat. Crossing the legs, sitting up nice and tall. Hands together at heart center. An expression of gratitude. Gratitude for the safety of our homes. Gratitude for this ancient practice. Gratitude for the ability to connect with one another energetically. Gratitude for our well-being in our minds and our bodies and our spirits. Gratitude for this incredible world around us. And also gratitude for this opportunity to pause, to be still, to nest, and to be quiet, and to truly discover ourselves as all the other noise drops away. honor one another on our journeys by saying namaste. The highest in me sees and honors the highest in you. Thank you for practicing. Thank you for the opportunity to connect. And we'll see you again on your mat soon. Give me any feedback if there's anything else that you would like from your practice. See you. Bye.